Have you ever found yourself clutching so tightly to something that it begins to slip through your fingers anyway? Maybe it's a relationship that once brought you joy, but now feels empty and draining. Or perhaps it's a job you've held onto for years, despite the fact that it no longer sparks any passion within you. Why do we hold on so fiercely to things that no longer serve us? Is it fear of change, fear of being alone, or fear of losing our identity? In moments of deep vulnerability, we question whether we're capable of standing on our own, of facing the emptiness that letting go might leave behind. But let me ask you this: what if that emptiness isn't something to fear, but something to embrace? What if, in releasing what no longer serves you, you make room for the things that are truly meant for you, things that will fill you with joy, purpose, and peace? C.S. Lewis reminds us that letting go is often the hardest part of growth, but it's necessary. We hold on because we are afraid, but fear is a thief of freedom. The unknown looms large before us. But what if the very thing you're holding on to is the thing keeping you from becoming the person you were meant to be? Maybe it's not the fear of being alone that's holding you back, but the fear of not knowing who you'll be without this familiar burden. Letting go is not just an act of releasing, it's an act of trusting that there is more for you. It's about believing that you are worthy of happiness that isn't tied to the approval or actions of others. It's about reclaiming the power you have been giving away for too long. But I know that's easier said than done, isn't it? Letting go can feel like standing at the edge of a cliff, unsure whether the leap will bring you to freedom or send you spiraling downward. That leap requires faith not just in God, but in yourself. The pain you've been holding inside, the weight of unfulfilled desires, the fear of being overlooked, all of it is valid. You've carried it for so long that it feels like a part of you. But ask yourself, is this pain serving me, or is it keeping me stuck? Sometimes, we get so used to the burden that we forget there's another way to live. We forget that we have the right to choose peace, to choose joy, to choose ourselves. When you hold on to a relationship, job, or habit that's no longer aligned with who you are telling yourself that you're not worthy of more. But my friend, you are worthy of so much more. You were created for a life of abundance, not one of scarcity. You were designed to flourish, not to shrink in fear. Yes, it will hurt to let go. Yes, you may feel lost for a time. But on the other side of that pain is freedom, freedom to be exactly who you are, without the chains of external expectations. The journey towards self-love and independence is a rocky one. It's not about building walls to protect yourself from others, but about building a strong foundation within yourself. There will be days when you question if you've made the right choice. Days when the quiet feels too loud and the absence of what you've let go feels unbearable. But remember this: the quiet is where healing begins. The space you create by letting go is where new things, better things can grow. Think about it. What would your life look like if you truly believed you were enough? If you no longer relied on someone else's approval or validation to feel whole? If your happiness wasn't dependent on external circumstances but was a wellspring from within? The truth is, you can find that kind of peace. It's not easy, but it's possible. You don't have to hold on to things that make you feel small. You don't have to cling to people or situations that drain your energy and leave you feeling unworthy. You deserve relationships that build you up, not ones that tear you down. You deserve a life that excites you, not one that leaves you feeling trapped. I know you've been waiting for a sign, something to tell you that it's okay to move forward. Consider this your permission. It's time to let go. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Because you owe it to yourself to experience the fullness of life that God intended for you. But don't rush. Take the time to get to know yourself again. What do you love? What dreams have you buried beneath the weight of what you've been holding on to? Allow yourself to rediscover the things that bring you joy, whether it's painting, dancing, hiking, or simply sitting in the stillness of your own presence. Learn to love the quiet moments. They are not empty, they are full of potential. As C.S. Lewis once said, you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. Your story isn't over. The chapters you've lived up until now have brought you here, to this moment of decision. But they don't have to define your future. You have the power to write a new ending, one filled with hope, love, and possibility. The unknown may be scary, but staying where you are is even scarier. Don't be afraid to release what no longer serves you. Don't be afraid to step into the unknown and trust that God is guiding you to something better. Your happiness is not something to be negotiated or postponed. It's something to be embraced right now, exactly as you are. So I ask you, what are you holding on to that's keeping you from the life you deserve? What fears are stopping you from taking that next step? And more importantly, what could your life look like if you finally let go? Stay with me, because together we will explore how to navigate this path of self-liberation, how to trust in God's timing, and how to find joy in the journey. If this message speaks to you, take a moment to reflect. Share your thoughts, your fears, and your hopes in the comments below. Let's continue this conversation about growth, healing, and transformation. You are not alone in this journey. There's a community here waiting to support you as you step into the fullness of who you were created to be. Let me hear a blessed from you all. Getting over a painful experience is much like crossing monkey bars. You have to let go at some point in order to move forward. C.S. Lewis. Have you ever found yourself gripping tightly to something, even though it's no longer good for you? Maybe it's a relationship that once filled your heart but now only leaves you empty, or perhaps it's a dream you once held dear, but life has taken you down a different path. Why is it so difficult to let go, even when we know deep down it's the best thing for us? Is it because we fear what's on the other side, the unknown, the uncertainty, the possibility that we might not find something better? Letting go, as C.S. Lewis so powerfully illustrates, is not an easy task. It's painful, it's uncomfortable. It's like tearing off a band-aid that clings to a wound, knowing that in that moment, the pain intensifies before healing can begin. And yet, healing cannot start until we take that brave step to release what's no longer serving us. We hold on because familiarity feels safer than venturing into the unknown. But what we fail to realize is that the unknown is often where true growth and renewal begin. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to that's keeping me from the person I'm meant to become? Is it fear of loneliness, fear of failure, or fear of starting over? We often cling to things that are weighing us down simply because we've forgotten how to fly without them. But here's the truth: you were never meant to carry these burdens forever. God did not design you to live in constant struggle, holding on to broken pieces of a past that no longer aligns with your future. Lewis reminds us that it is in the letting go, in the release, that we truly find our strength. This doesn't mean the process is easy or painless, but it is necessary. You might be wondering, where do I even begin? The answer lies in turning inward, in focusing on yourself. It's about rediscovering the passions and joys that make you come alive, the things that remind you of who you are beneath the layers of expectations and past hurts. Perhaps it's been a long time since you asked yourself what you love. What makes your heart sing? What activities or interests fill you with a sense of purpose and joy? Is it painting, hiking through nature, or giving your time to causes that matter to you? Whatever it is, pursue it with your whole heart. These passions are not just hobbies, they are lifelines, ways to reconnect with the core of who you are, outside of what you've been holding on to. There's a truth we often overlook in our times of deepest attachment. Loneliness is not cured by clinging to people or things, but by finding fulfillment within ourselves. When we fill our lives with activities and passions that light us up, the hold that loneliness once had over us begins to loosen. You realize that your worth isn't tied to the presence or absence of someone else, but to the joy and contentment you cultivate within. And yet, letting go still feels like a mountain too steep to climb. You might be asking yourself, what if I let go and nothing better comes? But what if the opposite is true? What if, by holding on, you are keeping yourself from the very blessings that are waiting to enter your life? Faith, as C.S. Lewis once said, is about holding on to things your reason has once accepted. In spite of your changing moods, letting go is an act of faith. It's trusting that what God has for you next is greater than anything you've left behind. So, how do you begin? You start by focusing on your inner self, your needs, your desires, your purpose. Take time to rediscover what truly makes you feel alive. Maybe it's the simple joy of walking in nature, finding beauty in the mundane, or volunteering at a local shelter where your heart connects with the needs of others. Whatever it is, dive into it fully. When you immerse yourself in these passions, loneliness fades because you're no longer defined by the presence of someone else. You are defined by the life you are creating for yourself. You will heal, and in time, you'll look back and see that letting go was not the end but the beginning. You'll see that it was the best decision you could have made for yourself, not because it was easy but because it freed you to grow, to expand, and to step into a future that is full of possibility and peace. I invite you to stay with me as we journey through this difficult yet rewarding process of letting go. Let's explore together how embracing your passions and trusting God's plan will lead you to a place of deeper fulfillment. If this message resonates with you, take a moment to reflect on what you've been holding on to and ask yourself if it's time to release it. Let's continue this conversation about faith, healing, and transformation as we walk this path together. Friendship is born at that moment when one person says to another, "What? You too? I thought I was the only one." C.S. Lewis. Have you ever felt the weight of toxic relationships, the kind that seem to drain your energy rather than lift you up? Why do we hold on to people who make us feel small, as though our worth is measured by their validation? There's an inner pain that comes from this, a quiet suffering that whispers, "Maybe this is what I deserve," but deep inside, you know that you are made for more. So why do we stay? We stay because it's familiar. We hold on because the unknown feels frightening and loneliness seems unbearable. But here's the truth, that many forget being alone and being lonely are two different things. Solitude, when embraced, becomes a sacred space for self-discovery, healing, and growth. It's where you learn that your value isn't tied to the approval of others, but to the person God created you to be. C.S. Lewis understood this when he wrote about the power of friendship and true companionship. Surrounding yourself with positive influences isn't just about having a support system, it's about aligning yourself with people who remind you of your worth, who see the potential in you, even when you struggle to see it yourself. They encourage you to rise, to keep pushing forward, and to embrace the person you are becoming. But what happens when the people closest to you don't see that potential? What if you find yourself shrinking in their presence, feeling as though you have to dim your light to make them comfortable? It's time to ask yourself, am I surrounding myself with those who inspire growth, or am I holding on to relationships that leave me feeling empty? You deserve to be with people who value and appreciate you for who you are, not for what you can do for them. Letting go of toxic relationships is not easy. It requires courage, a leap into the unknown, and the strength to face the discomfort of solitude. But in that space, you begin to find yourself again. You begin to see that your happiness is not dependent on others, but is rooted in your ability to love and care for yourself. As Lewis wisely noted, friendship and positive relationships are born out of shared values, mutual respect, and an understanding of each other's hearts. So, when you seek out new connections, look for those who encourage you to be the best version of yourself. Look for mentors and friends who remind you of your potential, who believe in you even when you doubt yourself. And most importantly, be kind to yourself. How often do we offer grace and forgiveness to others, yet withhold it from ourselves? When you stumble, when you make mistakes, don't be your harshest critic. Be your own source of compassion. Just as you would comfort a friend in their struggles, extend that same understanding to your own heart. After all, growth isn't a straight line, it's a winding journey with detours and lessons along the way. You see, it's in those moments of struggle that we find our strength. Every challenge, every setback is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become stronger. Remind yourself that you are a work in progress, and that is okay. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. The beauty is in the process. And as you walk this path of self-discovery, you will come to realize that being alone doesn't have to be something to fear. In fact, solitude can be a place of peace, where you learn to enjoy your own company, to appreciate the simple moments in life, and to understand that you are enough, just as you are. When you find joy within yourself, it becomes a source of strength that no one can take away from you. When the time comes to let someone new into your life, it will not be because you need them to fill a void or to complete you. It will be because they complement the happiness and wholeness you've already found within yourself. They will add to your life, not become the foundation of your joy. And that, my friend, is the healthiest place to be, where your happiness doesn't depend on someone else's presence but thrives regardless. So, let me ask you, who are you allowing into your inner circle? Are they building you up, or are they holding you back? It's time to reflect and make the changes that will lead to true growth and fulfillment. The journey ahead is filled with endless possibilities, but it starts with the people you surround yourself with and the love you show yourself. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. C.S. Lewis. Have you ever asked yourself why it's so difficult to let go of something that no longer serves you? Whether it's a relationship that's long past its prime, a job that drains your soul, or a habit that's slowly eroding your sense of self, letting go can feel like stepping off a cliff into the unknown. What if I'm not enough on my own? What if this is the best I'll ever have? These questions weigh heavily on our hearts, making us cling to the familiar, even when it causes us pain. But here's the real question: what are you sacrificing by holding on? There is a sacred beauty in the act of letting go. It's not about defeat, it's about freeing yourself to become who you're meant to be. C.S. Lewis once said that it is through surrendering our desires, not clinging to them, that we discover our true selves. Letting go allows you to strip away the expectations and burdens that have clouded your vision. It's about releasing the things and sometimes the people that prevent you from stepping into your God-given potential. When you let go, you make space for the new, for the better, for the things God has been preparing for you all along. Yes, it's frightening. But imagine the possibilities when you finally release the things that have been weighing you down. Think of all the energy you've been using to maintain a life that doesn't fulfill you. What could happen if you channeled that energy into loving yourself, into pursuing your passions, into stepping boldly into the future with faith? As you let go, you'll find that you are not losing but gaining. You're gaining freedom, gaining self-worth, gaining the clarity to see that you deserve so much more than you've allowed yourself to believe. The journey of learning to be happy on your own is one of the most empowering things you can do. Take yourself out, explore new places, and indulge in the small luxuries of life. Discover what makes you come alive. What are the activities that make your heart sing? What passions have you been neglecting because you were too busy holding on to something that wasn't meant for you? Falling in love with the person you're becoming is not just a nice idea, it's the very foundation of your happiness. And as you find joy in your own company, the world will reflect that love back to you in ways you never imagined. This isn't about abandoning your dreams or accepting less than what you desire. On the contrary, letting go is about courageously choosing to put yourself first. It's about deciding that your well-being, your happiness, and your peace are worth more than any fleeting comfort. It's about recognizing that you are worthy of love, respect, and joy, and that this worthiness begins with how you treat yourself. When you choose to respect your own heart, you send a message to the world that you will no longer accept anything less. So, take a deep breath and release the grip you have on what's holding you back. Open your heart to the possibilities waiting on the other side of your fears. Yes, it's terrifying to let go of what's familiar, but it's even scarier to think about all the opportunities for growth, love, and fulfillment that you're missing by staying stuck. You have so much light, so much potential, and it's time to let it shine. Life is too short to settle for mediocrity. Don't waste another day holding on to the things that keep you small. Instead, trust that something far greater is waiting just beyond the horizon. You have the strength to shape your own destiny, to create the life you've always dreamed of. All it takes is a little faith, a lot of courage, and the willingness to bet on yourself. C.S. Lewis spoke often of the importance of courage in the Christian life. He knew that the journey of faith, of self-discovery, and of becoming who God calls you to be requires boldness. And that's exactly what I'm encouraging you to have today. Be bold. Be brave enough to say no to the things that no longer serve you, and yes to the life that sets your soul on fire. Here's what I want you to do. Take out a piece of paper and make a list. Write down the things that bring you joy, the activities that make you feel alive. Maybe it's as simple as reading a book by the ocean, or trying out that recipe you've been thinking about for weeks. Or perhaps it's something bigger, like taking a class, planning a trip, or beginning that passion project you've always pushed aside. Whatever it is, commit to yourself. One by one, start incorporating these things into your life. Make space for the joy that's been buried beneath your fear. You have more power than you realize. The ability to transform your life is within you. You are not defined by your past or by what you've been holding on to. You are defined by your potential, by the love and light that already live within you. So let go of what's no longer serving you and embrace the endless possibilities that await. You've got this, and I'm here to remind you that you're not walking this path alone. Here's to your journey of self-discovery, growth, and happiness. May it be filled with love, laughter, and unending adventures. Remember, life is too precious to settle for anything less than what fuels your spirit. Don't be afraid to walk away from what's dimming your light. Something better is waiting, just around the corner. You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. C.S. Lewis. Have you ever felt the weight of dreams deferred, wondering if now is the right time to pursue them, or worse, doubting if it's even possible? How many times have you been held back by fear or the opinions of others, trapped by the belief that what you desire is somehow out of reach? Maybe it's that idea you've had for years but never dared to start. Or perhaps it's the adventure you've always dreamed of but convinced yourself you weren't ready for. Do you ever ask yourself, what if I fail? What if I fail? What if I'm not enough? But what if the real failure lies not in trying and falling short, but in never trying at all? C.S. Lewis reminds us that it's never too late to dream anew, to reset our sights on what truly ignites our passion. Life doesn't give us second chances to revisit wasted moments, but it offers countless opportunities to reshape our future. You see, the fear of failure often robs us of the courage to live fully, to step boldly into the unknown. Yet, it's precisely in those moments of risk and uncertainty that we discover who we are meant to become. Letting go of what's holding you back is not about ignoring the fear, it's about moving forward despite it. It's about trusting that God has planted dreams in your heart for a reason, and He has equipped you with the gifts and strengths needed to see them through. Remember, as C.S. Lewis so poignantly said, hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. Every challenge, every setback, every tear shed along the way is shaping you into the person you are destined to be. So why are you holding on to the limitations others or even you have placed on yourself? I know it's not easy. There will be days when you want to quit, when the journey feels overwhelming and the destination seems too far. But each step you take, even the smallest, is a step toward growth, toward becoming the person God has always intended you to be. And that transformation, the process of becoming, is far more important than the end result. So, what's holding you back? Is it fear of judgment, fear of the unknown, or perhaps the lingering doubt that you aren't capable? The truth is, you are more than capable. You are full of untapped potential, waiting to be awakened. You are not defined by your past failures or the obstacles in your path. You are defined by the strength to rise above them, to keep moving forward, even when the way is unclear. Start small if you must. Whether it's taking that dance class, cooking a new recipe, or finally making that big career move, just start. The journey of self-discovery and growth is a series of small steps, not a leap into the unknown. And with each step, you will gain the courage, confidence, and resilience to face the next challenge. But here's the key: be patient with yourself. Real change takes time, and the path is never straight. There will be moments when progress feels slow, when you feel like you're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But trust me when I say that every setback is a lesson, every challenge an opportunity to grow. You are becoming stronger, more courageous, and more authentic with each hurdle you face. Don't rush the process, embrace it. Imagine what your life could look like if you let go of the fear, the doubt, the need for approval. Imagine living each day with passion and purpose, knowing that you are enough just as you are. Picture the new opportunities that would unfold if you chose to trust your instincts and follow your heart. That life is not out of reach, it's waiting for you on the other side of your fears. So here's my challenge to you: start today. Take one small, intentional step toward the life you've always wanted, and then take another and another. Before you know it, you'll look back and marvel at how far you've come. You'll see that the courage, strength, and resilience you never knew you had were there all along, just waiting for you to act. There is no magic moment when everything becomes clear. Clarity comes through action, through the steps you take each day toward your dreams. So let today be the day you stop waiting for the perfect time and start creating it. You have a unique gift to offer the world, something only you can share. Don't let fear or the opinions of others dim your light. Embrace the unknown, take risks, and above all, love yourself fiercely and unapologetically. Watch as your world begins to shift, as new opportunities, relationships, and adventures start to unfold. You are becoming the person you've always wanted to be: confident, resilient, and unabashedly yourself. So, I invite you to stay with me on this journey. Let's continue exploring how to break free from the fears that hold us back and discover the beauty of living with purpose. Together, we'll learn how to create a life that excites and fulfills us. A life where we can look back and say, "I'm glad I didn't settle. I'm glad I chose to live fully." If this resonates with you, feel free to share your thoughts. Let's encourage each other to keep pushing forward, even when the way gets hard. Because the truth is, you're not alone on this path, we're all walking it together. And the best is yet to come. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. C.S. Lewis. Have you ever felt like the weight of expectations, your own, others, or even society's, was pressing down on you so heavily that you were afraid to let go of the very things that were holding you back? Perhaps it's the fear of letting go of a relationship that has grown comfortable yet stagnant, or a belief system that once guided you but now feels like a cage. Why do we cling so tightly to what no longer serves us? Is it because we fear the unknown, the uncertainty of a life without the familiar, or the discomfort of facing ourselves in solitude? But what if the key to true freedom, peace, and joy lies in that very act of letting go? What if learning to be happy on your own isn't a loss but a gain, an opportunity to discover the version of yourself that has been waiting beneath the surface? Like C.S. Lewis said, you may not be able to rewrite the past, but you can start right here, right now, and change your future. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that our happiness depends on other people, that we need someone to affirm our worth or complete us. But let me tell you, relying on external validation only gives others the power to control your peace. When you let go of that need, when you learn to find joy within yourself, you take back the reins of your life. And with that, you discover a freedom so profound, a peace so deep, that no one can take it from you. Imagine for a moment what would your life look like if you released the relationships, habits, and beliefs that no longer serve you. Would you find that the empty spaces left behind are not empty at all, but brimming with potential? It is in these spaces of solitude, where we often fear the most, that God does His deepest work. He transforms that loneliness into solitude, teaching you that your worth is intrinsic, not dependent on anyone or anything external. You may be asking, what if I'm not enough on my own? What if I fail to find happiness within myself? These fears are valid and real, but they are not the truth. You are already enough, just as you are. You have been created in God's image, imbued with the capacity for joy, peace, and fulfillment. C.S. Lewis once said, "God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains." Maybe it's in this pain of letting go, this fear of being alone, that God is shouting the loudest, "Trust me. I am enough, and so are you. The greatest gift you can give yourself is the gift of self-love, self-acceptance, and self-discovery. When you let go of what no longer serves you, you are not losing, you are making room for more. More joy, more peace, more authenticity. You are gifting yourself a life lived on your terms, a life of passion, purpose, and endless possibility. This journey will not be easy, but it will be worth it. You will face moments of doubt, moments where the quiet seems too loud and the solitude too still. But it is in these moments that you grow. It is in these moments that you realize that being alone does not mean being lonely. It means learning to rely on yourself, on your inner strength, and on God, who walks with you through every valley. And when you've cultivated that inner strength, something beautiful happens. Your relationships begin to transform. You start to attract people who are drawn to your authenticity, your resilience, and your courage. You form connections based on mutual respect and shared values, rather than fear of being alone. You no longer cling to people out of a need for validation because you already know your worth. We are afraid of the quiet moments because we think we are meant to fill every second with noise and activity. But in the stillness, God speaks the loudest. C.S. Lewis. Have you ever noticed that the hardest part of letting go is not what you leave behind, but the fear of what lies ahead? What happens to us when we release the grip on the relationships, habits, or beliefs that no longer serve us? Is it the void we fear, the unknown silence where we must finally face ourselves without distraction? The truth is, we often equate being alone with being unloved or unworthy. Yet, C.S. Lewis reminds us that in the stillness, when we are stripped of all the noise, we are more open to hearing God's voice, more open to rediscovering who we truly are. Letting go, my friend, isn't about abandonment or failure. It's about making space. It's about creating room for the life that aligns more deeply with your true self, values, and God's purpose for you. So ask yourself, what are you holding on to out of fear? Is it a relationship that drains you, or a habit that hinders your growth? These moments of solitude you face, the quiet spaces you feel, are actually invitations to deepen your connection with yourself and with God. The isolation is not a curse, but a sacred opportunity to rebuild, to reflect, and to reconnect with your innermost desires. Yes, we are wired for connection, and the human heart craves belonging. But remember, there is a profound difference between loneliness and solitude. Being alone doesn't mean being lonely. It means finding peace in your own presence, learning to love the quiet strength within you that doesn't rely on the validation of others. As Lewis himself believed, it is in these solitary moments that we often hear God most clearly, free from the distractions and the expectations that keep us from our authentic selves. So, how do you begin to embrace this journey inward? How do you cultivate a loving relationship with yourself when you've been running from your own thoughts, your own fears for so long? The first step is self-awareness. Stop for a moment. Ask yourself, what dreams have I buried beneath the expectations of others? What passions have I ignored because I was too afraid to pursue them? These are not just fleeting questions, they are the very doorways to rediscovering the person God created you to be. Start small. Take a few minutes each day to journal, not with the goal of perfection, but simply to get to know yourself again. Write down your thoughts, your feelings, your dreams, and your fears. Allow the words to flow without judgment. And as they do, you will begin to uncover themes, patterns, and passions that have been hidden beneath the layers of responsibility and external expectations. You will start to see what truly brings you joy, what stirs your soul, and what you've been missing. Mindfulness and meditation can further help you cultivate that relationship with yourself. When was the last time you sat in silence, with no distractions, and simply focused on your breath? As you sit in stillness, observe the thoughts that arise without judgment. Watch as the fears and doubts bubble up, and allow them to pass through. This practice of mindfulness isn't about erasing the noise, but about learning to be present with it, to recognize that you are not your thoughts, but the quiet observer of them. And as you develop this relationship with yourself, you will find something extraordinary happens. You'll have more to give. You'll show up in your relationships with a fullness that you haven't felt before. Instead of seeking validation from others, you'll give love freely, knowing that your worth is already established. You'll listen more deeply, love more wholly, and live more authentically. But all of this begins with one simple, profound step: learning to be content in your own company. Maybe you're reading this and thinking, but how do I let go? How do I break free from these patterns, these connections, these things I've held on to for so long? The answer isn't always easy, but it's clear. You start by trusting that what God has for you is better than what you are clinging to out of fear. You begin by believing that the space you create in your life by letting go will be filled with something more aligned, more purposeful, and more life-giving than what you are afraid to release. C.S. Lewis once wrote, "You must give up the life you planned in order to have the life that is waiting for you." This speaks directly to the heart of what we fear most: losing control. But when you trust that God is orchestrating your journey, you begin to understand that every step of letting go is actually a step towards something far greater. So, I challenge you to pause. Reflect on what's no longer serving you. Ask yourself, what are you holding on to that's keeping you from stepping into the fullness of your potential? And then, take that courageous first step toward freedom. You may not see the entire path ahead, but trust that each small release brings you closer to the life God intended for you, a life filled with peace, joy, and divine purpose. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. C.S. Lewis. Have you ever wondered why it's so difficult to let go of something or someone that no longer serves you? Why do we cling to relationships, habits, or even versions of ourselves that we've outgrown? Is it the fear of loneliness? The dread of facing the unknown? Or maybe it's the haunting thought of failure, that if we let go, we might never find something better. Have you ever felt so paralyzed by these thoughts that it's easier to stay in a situation that makes you unhappy, just because it's familiar? I know this journey can be overwhelming, full of moments where doubt seeps in, fear grips your heart, and you question whether you have what it takes to create the life you want. But let me assure you of something: you do. You are equipped with everything you need within you: strength, resilience, and a spark of divine purpose. The life you dream of, the joy, and the fulfillment you long for are not out of reach. They are waiting for you to step into them. But stepping into that life means releasing the grip on what's no longer meant for you. The truth is, growth is often painful, but staying stuck is even more painful. There will be times when you'll feel like you're not enough, that you don't have the energy or courage to move forward. But growth doesn't happen all at once. It's in those small, daily steps of courage and self-love that you begin to shift. Every time you choose yourself, every time you let go of something toxic, you move closer to the person God created you to be. Imagine the life that is possible when you no longer rely on external validation to feel whole, when you're no longer chasing fleeting pleasures or approval from others, but instead cultivating a deep sense of contentment that comes from knowing you are enough just as you are. Imagine finding joy in the simple things: a sunrise that takes your breath away, a heartfelt conversation, or the peace that comes from a quiet moment with yourself. When you embrace the journey of self-love, your definition of happiness begins to shift. You realize that happiness isn't something you chase, it's something you build from within. C.S. Lewis once said, "We are what we believe we are." How often have you let your doubts define you? How often have you convinced yourself that you are not worthy of love, joy, or success? What if, instead of letting those doubts dictate your path, you started to believe in your inherent worth, in the deep truth that you are more than enough? And when you learn to be happy on your own, to embrace solitude as a space for growth rather than a void to be filled, you'll find that you are more resilient than you ever imagined. Life's storms will come, they always do, but you'll face them with a newfound strength. You'll weather the difficulties not because the challenges will disappear, but because you've developed the inner resources to meet them head on. You'll know that no matter what life throws at you, you have the creativity, courage, and faith to navigate through it. If you find yourself in a place where you feel stuck, whether it's in a relationship, a job, or even a mindset that no longer serves you, let me tell you this: it's okay to let go. It's okay to step back, to focus on yourself, and to place your happiness and well-being first. In fact, it's not just okay, it's essential. You cannot fully step into the future God has prepared for you if you're still clinging to what's behind you. When you let go of what's holding you back, when you learn to love and accept yourself fully, everything else in your life will begin to fall into place. You'll start to attract the right people, the ones who appreciate and uplift you. The right opportunities will begin to emerge, ones that align with your passions and purpose. And suddenly you'll find that life doesn't feel as heavy, that there's more space for joy, love, and fulfillment. Think about the impact you can have when you start living from a place of self-love. When you're no longer tied down by fear or self-doubt, you're free to give more generously, love more deeply, and live more authentically. You'll begin to understand that your life has a purpose far beyond your own experience. You're here to make a difference, to leave the world a little brighter than you found it. So, if you're ready to let go, start today. Take that first small step toward loving yourself more fully, pursuing your passions more boldly, and living your truth more authentically. And remember, you are not alone in this. Others have walked this path before you. Seek out their wisdom, their stories, and their support. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, who inspire you to be your best self. And most importantly, trust yourself. Trust the wisdom within you, trust the process, and trust God's timing. He is working behind the scenes, preparing you for something far greater than you can imagine. Your story isn't over yet. You have so much more to offer, so much more to experience, and so much more to become. So take a deep breath. Release what's no longer serving you, and step boldly into the incredible journey that lies ahead. Know that you are worthy of love, happiness, and success exactly as you are. And remember, the best is yet to come. As you continue on this journey of growth and self-love, may you find the courage to let go, the strength to love yourself, and the faith to trust in what's unfolding. The path ahead may be uncertain, but it is filled with possibilities beyond your wildest dreams.